seems to me that all of the national governments have been taken over by the same type of people. And there's a war between the governments and the people, though it is never stated as that, because the governments are in collusion with the corporate media to give a certain type of reflection back to society or ourselves, the masses, to tell us how to think. I grew up watching Star Trek, and Star Trek had a positive vision of the future, one of the few ones that you would see in science fiction. And the computer was actually helping the crew run the ship. It didn't take over the ship and try to kill everyone all the time. And so there are different future timelines of possibilities for our society. And the ones that the governments put forward, or the corporations, or anyone in the sort of like Hollywood movie genre, puts forth a dystopian future where the government has complete and utter power. What they don't tell you is that there is a larger set of cycles that are underneath what we're going through, and our history is very different than has been put into the history books, and that there's a larger movement of consciousness that we are part of that is at the basis of why we are alive and why we exist, to experience this consciousness. We are under the assumption that we think our thoughts, and actually we are conduits for thoughts moving in consciousness. And depending upon the frequency of our thinking apparatus, different thoughts will come through our mind. And so our mind is like this configuration that gets set in stone when you're younger, and you have to reconfigure your mind so you can reach higher levels of frequency. The ruling class, which knows most of these things and operates in most of these things, does not want the middle class or the working class to truly understand how the mind works and how this world works. Because if they did, there would be no ruling class. And right now, the ruling class is acting in such a way that is suppressing and attacking the working and the middle class. So what I'm offering or suggesting is a new class called the Planetary Guardians. And that are the people, that is filled with the people who have decided that they do not want these people ruling over these people, and have come up with a new governance system, a new way of operating the planet, which they put forward to these two classes to see if they would like to change and come into a new world. I've been doing research for about 25 years, and through my work, I have learned that you can use sacred geometry and spiritual symbology and language to work together in unique ways that are very different from anything I've seen almost on this planet. And so I'm putting forth here as an originator or an inventor that this operating system, when used by you and used by all the planetary guardians, are going to create a field of intelligence that is going to be aimed at the goodness for our species, aimed at being loving and peaceful and being good communicators and stopping the violence through communication ahead of time. And so now we have this global internet where we can communicate. So our species is transforming, and it's the tools that we use to communicate that are going to have the largest impact on all of us. For some people, this may be a first contact video where you're seeing me for the first time. Other people have seen me over and over again putting forth such ideas, but I haven't really got much traction. I haven't really got much connection yet with people about what this is. It's just starting. I feel like after all of this time, I'm just coming into the world right now. And so my charisma may be a little bit off. I feel like I'm a little bit emotionally stunted due to the amount of insanity that you go through when you're attempting to change the current system, because the current system is insane. And the current system does not like anything to do with it being changed, because then the social order could be changed, and that is not to be. There's a lot of conflict resolution that has to be done between all of the people in this world. We have been attacked on our social foundation has been attacked. Parts of our culture have been taken away to induce insanity in us. And so we need to be forgiving of ourselves and others in terms of why we're in this situation. We need to see that we have come out of a cauldron, and we need to relax, calm down, steam down, start to enjoy life in a way where we can then begin to make good decisions. Because if you're making decisions from a point of oppression and feeling very badly, then you're not going to make good decisions, because you're in a fear-based situation, and that is very different from being in a love-based situation. And so if you want to build a new system, if you want to build a new life, you have to come at it from the point of view of focusing on your own consciousness first, and how to use these tools in order to up your vibe, and then to start to work on teams of people who have the same incentive and desires to do so. The tools are there to help the communication flow, so that you know what kind of conversation that you're in. Because if you're in a needs analysis, it is very different from being in a presentation. If you're in a healing conversation, it's very different from being in a conflict. If you are in a knowledge sharing conversation, it's very different from being in a debate. And so we need to have more acuity in looking at the subtleties of communication and using the tools that are now available to everybody to transform how we communicate as individuals, how we communicate as teams, how we communicate as families, how we communicate as organizations, how we communicate as communities, how we communicate as a whole species. We are in a renaissance, as pointed out by Deir, Zamir, and Ramayan, that is transforming our species. It means there's a lot of light and there's a lot of darkness. It means that we have a possibility to actually transform the direction our species is going. So who am I to put forward this idea? Who am I to be a teacher to you? My credibility comes in, do the tools work independent of me? There are card sets, there are game boards, there's maps, processes, and software. And all of these are bundled into something called the new Paradigm Toolkit. And so this is an example of the tools in use, of looking at a framing of a conversation in a very unique way, where all of a sudden you're looking at how do you put values with conversation types? How do you put intention into the communication that you're putting forward? How to know what conversation type you're in, and then to use it to gain higher and higher levels of understanding for you and for your audience. Right now, I have to build credibility. I don't really have much because I'm sort of a lone inventor, but the credibility comes when you finally demonstrate the tools in such a way that others can see, hey, wow, this might be a good idea. And so I'm hoping to start to attract other planetary guardians who want to go through training programs to learn the tools, and then to use it to change your own life into the lifestyle that you want to create. Because a lot of us are trapped. A lot of us are trapped in the old economic paradigm. We're trapped by our monthly bills. We're trapped by the thinking of the people around us that don't align with how we really are. And we want to be around people that are actually going the same direction. We want to be around people that have a mindset already that we need to do some serious work on our species, and we need to evolve. We need to get out of this war mentality, of this usury mentality, of this insanity that has this government control that is just screwing with us now and getting us to take things in our body which are not good for us and actually may be poisons. So, what to do? There are a lot of very intelligent people out there that are unwilling to participate in the old paradigm. They want to build a new world, but they don't know how, but they have a high skill set, and they have quite a few resources, and they know other people that are thinking like them. What Planetary Guardians offers is an infrastructure. It's a mental infrastructure that helps reformat your mind, and then it connects into the software system and the tools that are there to help everybody to design their ideal future. Because if you don't have something to move into, if you don't know where you are, you're basically in the current of some other larger goals and ideas and visions of other people that are at a higher level of power than you. And so to become the individual sovereign being, to be a planetary guardian, is to start to reconnect with your potential that is linked into your DNA that gets activated by these values. Values are actually conduits of energy that flow in tension to fields of energy. And so when you bring in courage, or when you bring in love, or when you bring in humility, or when you bring in gratitude, or when you bring in any of the hundreds of values that are there, they're like superpowers. And what I've learned is when you bring them into conversation types, when you bring in a certain type of energy and intention, that is how humans become more conscious in our communication. We have the ability to direct our intention and our attention. It's one of our greatest powers, and language is the way that it focalizes. And so when you start to work on your abstract mind, when you start to use these tools in a new type of infographic, when you move from squares to circles, when you move from linear time to cyclical time and add in levels of consciousness, all of a sudden as a human being, you're in a different level than most people are trapped right now. That's the hard part. The hard part is someone accepting responsibility for the fact that they actually are trapped. And they're trapped by being accountable to a system that is not accountable back to them. We get tickets for being in a wrong parking space within minutes that cost lots of money, when people at the top are fleecing everyone for millions and billions, and they have no accountability, and we have no way of actually doing anything about it. We need to create a new system. We need to create something that actually works for us, and it's working by us, and has been designed by us. So we need the tools to do so. That is what is being put forward in Planetary Guardians, the new Paradigm Toolkit, the School of Conscious Communication, and the very secret plan. Don't tell anyone. I mean, tell the people that you can tell, but this is on the down low. This is not going to go over well. People that are trapped here don't want to go here, and they don't like people here. They actually hate people here. So there's a war. There's a war between paradigms, and you are choosing which one you want to live in. Now, personally, I think this one's pretty good. Loving each other, having a good life, helping each other, being kind to one another. That seems pretty good to me compared to shooting one another, robbing one another, and getting robbed by those that we can't even touch. So what are we going to do about it? What actually are we going to do about it? One thing is to have a very different relationship with conceptual maps. Conceptual maps organize everything on our planet, whether we know it or not, from the man-made point of view. And so they're blueprints. And so when you have your ability to create the blueprints that you want to design the future of your life, that's a pretty good idea. And if you share the same blueprints, then you can work together on teams and larger organizations and communities to build a whole new world, to design exactly how you want to live and how to use your gifts to make your living with. So this is called the 7-step winning formula. It has a value and a conversation type. There's 7 of them, and it goes from the beginning, which is the start, to the setup, to the build-up, to the crescendo, to the ease out, to the connect and unify, and to the finish. And what I'm putting forward here is that you can put forth your gifts in this process and put it forth to the world, where you will be paid and compensated for that. And that you can take the best of what you have and put it in here and actually bring other people in. Maybe you've got 5 of these, maybe you've got 4 of these, maybe you're just one of these, and teams can be created to bring great processes into the world. Everything is a process. Everything starts somewhere and go somewhere, if it has any type of value created in it. So this is a language architecture that can be put into any context, that can be steered in any direction, because it's a layer above the content of your experience. And so the mind has the ability to think in patterns that can direct information flow between different entities. So this is the beginning of you going, oh, okay. But where are you trapped? Are you unemployed, volunteer, employed, management? You want to be an owner. You want to be a sovereign being, owner of your own time. You want to be solid or a hero. You don't want to be a douchebag, a loser, a flake, or just okay. You want to get to a level where everyone sees you in a good light. You're probably going to start out here, and then you move to be a facilitator. And then you can move to be a teacher. Or if you developed your own knowledge field, you could be an originator. Or if you wanted, you could be an administrator. But everyone else is a client. Everyone else is a potential client. And so you are entering into the school of conscious communication, where we distinguish things that no one else distinguishes. We have to look at the new system from the point of view of a spiritual lens, because right now there's a battle. The Dark Lords are controlling the mind-controlled zombies, putting most of the planet asleep. And it's only the people that are awakening or awakened or spiritual masters that can really do anything about it. So you have to figure out, using these maps, who are you, and then who are you talking to? How do they think? Why do they think that way? If there's someone who actually believes the government indoctrination is still good for them and they trust them, they are asleep. But the people that are just awakening because they don't quite know what's going on, they need support and guidance from these two. And these two need to start organizing in such a way that they can defend themselves and build this new paradigm, because these guys want to keep the world in fear. And if you don't bring that in, you won't understand what's actually occurring on the planet right now. My name is Captain Sweep, and I'm the Planetary Guardians head trainer right now. And it's my job to train the trainers, to find the people that want to bring this idea into the world. And to do so, you have to start to use the tools in your own life. And right now we have prototypes that need to be tested and teams that need to be built. And I'm here to invite you to jump in, participate at the level that you want and can, and then see how to take small steps in the right direction and start to build a world that you can be proud of.